and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do the tarot reading, the first part of the two parts that I do during the full and the new moons. This is the tarot part for the Capricorn full moon, which is taking place today on the 13th of July at 21 degrees and 21 minutes of Capricorn, which means the sun of course is going to be opposing the full moon from Cancer. If you're interested in the astrology part, I will be putting that out later as well, but also there is going to be a free natal link in that description box down below for you to go and check out for yourself your own charts. It's always quite important to know where these placements are happening for yourselves, especially as to what house it may be taking place, because that's where the energy is going to show itself. But like I said, if you're interested, the astrology part of this will also be going out fairly soon. So I have laid the cards out already because it just saves time. They've all been doused as well, so that I know exactly which decks of cards are supposed to be used. And we have today the energy of Samael as the angel script energy that's taking care of us at this moment, or has the biggest message for us at this time. So let's just have a quick look here and see what Samael wants to say. Adversity, which is interesting because Saturn is about adversity. It is an adverse energy. Saturn and Pluto always work through adverse situations that may not at first appear to be good for us or what we particularly want, but they do turn out often in the end to be what we need, and that's a very different thing necessarily to what we're wanting. So adversity, Samael is saying, tests our diligence and our dedication. Very Saturn energy. Samael provides boundaries and limitations, completely Saturn, in order that we may grow in strength and purpose. And Saturn, for those of you who are not aware, is the ruler of this full moon in Capricorn. He's the ruler of Capricorn, so very apt. This archangel strips away the old and the useless. It encourages new beginnings by pruning dead wood from the tree. We learn how best to develop our gifts when the teacher insists that we make progress, even at those times when we feel inclined to rest on laurels already gained. And that is very much Saturn energy as well. He is the teacher. Samael does not permit laziness. It insists on hard work and commitment to the goal. All Saturn. Meeting Samael is like meeting a parent who wishes the best for us and delivers stern advice. We will not be allowed to stumble or falter, since the parent who insists on growth and progress has our best interests at heart. We may feel tasks have been set which are too difficult, but we are never asked to undertake the impossible, and we will always be supported in equal proportion to our own effort. Samael is tempered still, strong and inflexible. It creates girders for the building of our bridges, and these structures will hold fast against decay. Storms and earthquakes cannot shift the products of hearts who have laboured diligently. Samael provides firm foundations on which to build a city of light. When we are asked to work, we must join in with delight. The master only becomes a foe when agreements are broken and commitments are unfulfilled. Samael blocks a free passage only when we have chosen the wrong path. Adversity becomes necessity only in the face of our own foolishness. Then we are corrected, and that which seemed difficult is smoothed away. Totally Saturn energy. I can't believe how Saturn that energy is. So let's put Samael up here and actually get on with the reading. Sorry about this. Sometimes it's easier than others. There we go. So we're starting the actual reading today with the Queen of Pentacles, who just happens to be in reverse. Capricorn is a very earthy sign, so it does kind of represent that energy again, the Capricorn energy. It's also, well, it's very earth energy. Pentacles is the earth energy. And in reverse, there seems to be something that is like stopping us from understanding our own self-worth here, because this is really what she is about. Actually, sorry, this is the King of Pentacles. Don't know why I said the Queen. I do actually, because the Queen is up here as well. So we actually have both the King and the Queen on the table at this time. So that is also the masculine and the feminine. The King of Pentacles is all about achievement, success, having reached a certain stage of our goals in life. But he's in reverse. So this is kind of saying to me that there are like things that we have to let go, like Samael was saying, the dead wood that we have to chop off and remove and allow that new growth to happen. But when we're kind of stuck in a certain way of thinking or seeing things, or kind of like just trapped by our own kind of belief in the physical world as well, because this is very physical energy that we're dealing with, not only with this full moon, but this card here as well, which is that Capricorn energy again. There's also a dragon down here at the foot of this tree. The King is kind of growing out of this tree, and this dragon here, I don't know if you can see that, kind of represents earth energy, energy of the earth herself, which is also what feeds the earth and feeds us and sustains us, is that energy of the earth herself. And so it's kind of saying to me here in reverse that there is a blockage, there is something that is not sustainable here. Our lifestyles perhaps need to be looked at, thought about, reconsidered. Saturn is in reverse, in retrograde. So that's another possible reason here as well. There's a lot of retrograde energy at the moment. A lot of the planets have turned retrograde already. But that's the kind of energy that I'm getting from this card. And it's covered by the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is often seen as an energy of almost reaching the end of something. Being a 9, it's like our trials and tribulations. It's often depicted with a wounded person, a wounded soldier, somebody who here in this one, this soldier doesn't look wounded at all. He looks very he's got like a very what's the word I'm looking for here, there's a kind of proudness about him. And if you see here as well, he's kind of feels like the leader of these soldiers. These are soldiers all with their staffs or hooks or their lances or whatever, kind of standing up. It looks like they're ready for battle, is what's kind of coming through here. And he looks like he is the leader. He looks like he's the one who's in charge, who's being kind of preparing, getting himself ready perhaps. And this is our challenge card. This is our Crossing card. This is the card that is saying that there's something here that maybe we need to kind of pull ourselves, again the expression kind of, dig deep to find this energy within ourselves, this strong warrior type energy, because at the moment there's a feeling of something being defeated here as well in this card, which also, because it's earth energy, it also represents yeah, like success and businesses, and it just feels like this kind of collapsing, and that we're going to need to find that inner strength, that warrior strength is what's coming through here. Not to be defeated, not to allow ourselves to be defeated, because the Nine of Wands can be a card of defeat. It can feel like we've got nowhere fast. But this card isn't giving that energy off as much. This card is giving much more of a strength energy about it. Like somebody who's very much in control of their destiny and their path in life as well. They know what it is that they've got, that they need to do in order to get the result that they want, is how this is coming through. So like I was saying, we also have the Queen of Pentacles. So she's in our head, and she's what we are aware of at this time. And interestingly, both of these have like star and sun and moon energy, particularly star energy above their heads. And I just want to say as well that two of the other decks of cards that I will be using both have the star energy, the star here, and this is also, I see this as hope, and hope for me is always that star of hope. So that's quite interesting. They're both on the bottom of the decks of cards that I'm yet to use, but the Queen of Pentacles, has come out upright, and there's this tiny little like in the very center, there's this tiny green light. It's really hard to see, but it's like she's holding this seed, or this very small, just like sprouted plant. So that's kind of representing for me something new, something nurturing ourselves to kind of grow something new, where this energy feels like the dead old energy. So it's almost coming through for me like old paradigm and new paradigm, shifting out of, letting go, like that dead wood, like no longer connected to this, but we are connected to this, and this is the new energy. Queen of Pentacles is also about knowing our value, knowing our worth, which is also what I feel about this card here as well. But I feel this on a very kind of spiritual energy, spiritual wise, like a spiritual warrior energy. And also kind of coming together as well. It's also something else that's coming through here, is kind of like people, groups of people, all with the same kind of ideal, amassing together to overcome something that is no longer healthy, no longer nurturing, no longer growing, no longer working for us. It's actually working, getting this kind of sense of working against us in this card. So I'm going to go back to the Queen of Pentacles as well, because this is very much that kind of mothering energy as well. The Queen of Pentacles, she is very nurturing. She is that earth energy. She is the provider in many ways. The energy of the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. They are like the providers of the zodiac, of the tarot as well. And it feels like something new is bursting out here. Something new is bursting forward, and it's what's in our head and what we are kind of coming aware of or becoming aware of, is that this energy is coming into our psyche. And what's moving away is the Eight of Wands. And the Eight of Wands is an interesting card because it talks about messages. And what I'm getting from this today is that it's talking to me about these messages that have come in, and it's like learning is what I'm getting from this. It's like each one of those little dandelion seeds has been a new not experience, like something that has brought in, again, it's like something new, like learning something new. And here she's kind of blowing them on the wind, so it's like it almost feels like ideas that have come into our heads, things that we've kind of like picked up out of the ether, if you like, and then we've kind of like looked into these situations or looked into these messages that we're receiving on a more kind of, it feels like on a more kind of spiritual, ethereal kind of energy, rather than just trusting other people's opinions and words. It's like something that goes beyond the physical. It's like our own thoughts, but on some level it's not our own thoughts, because these thoughts are coming in from another dimension, in a way, like another kind of like space. And it feels like this is part of the awakening process as well, that these messages, these new ideas that have come through have been helping us to awaken something within ourselves. And it is very much to do with the heart chakra as well, because it is very in the center there. Green is the heart energy. It's a shame these cards aren't slightly bigger and can't see these better, but she is holding like this small green, looks like a lotus flower that's kind of opening, which is again interesting because there's a lotus on there as well. So of course that is like spiritual, symbolically a lotus is a spiritual awakening, a spiritual opening. So that's what I think that this Nine of Wands is trying to say, that there has been this awakening on a deeper level. And in the subconscious at this time, and what we're not so aware of, is the Knight of Cups, and he's in reverse. So it's kind of saying that there has been some blockages here when it comes to opening ourselves up to the idea of love, particularly love for ourselves as well, not just love to do with relationships or other people, but this is also about self-love and learning how important that is, because until we can do that for ourselves, everything else is like second-hand in a way. Are we open? We're open to disappointment. Is how this feels. There's a cup there, but it's surrounded by these beings. It almost feels as though it is kind of being, I don't want to say blocked as such, but kind of, yeah, blocked, limited, restricted. Like that we're not fully open to receiving is what I'm getting here. We're not fully open to receiving because we ourselves are not trusting in our own self-love. And that's something that we're still learning, we're still in the process of doing, as we're finding out more about who we are ourselves. And also looking back on painful experiences, because it's upside down as well, so the cup is empty. But there's also this feeling, because it's kind of encircled, I'm not quite sure what it's, they look like little kind of like fairy, from the fairy realm creatures. But it almost looks, because there's lots of them down here in the water as well, but it almost looks like they're kind of stealing it away. Or they're hiding it away. A bit like the Holy Grail, actually, is what's kind of coming through. Like the Ace of Cups is like the Holy Grail. But the Holy, it's like within ourselves. It's not outside of ourselves. And it's like, as long as we're looking outwardly, we're not going to find it inwardly, is what's coming through. And that may also be part of this old energy that we're having to let go of as well. The traditions as well. Traditional, it's very traditional energy. The King of Pentacles, because he does represent that Saturn energy, which is all about tradition as well. And so what we have moving in is the Two of Pentacles. You can see this being here playing with these two pentacles. And it can often depict the Two of Pentacles kind of, I always see it as past and future for me. It's a card of kind of juggling between what has been and what is coming, like trying to make not so much a decision, but trying to kind of decide, well, I say decide, it's what's coming into our future, what are we taking into our future, balancing up what works, what doesn't work, what should we keep, what should we not keep. It's that kind of energy. What works for us, what doesn't, what makes us feel good, what doesn't. What's going to benefit us, what is not going to benefit us. So it feels like we're moving into this period of time of really kind of having to yeah, like seesaw. And trying to kind of find that center, trying to find that middle ground, if you like, that middle center, that so things aren't up in the air one side too much or too far down the other side. A sense of balance. Can also be about security as well, being the Two of Pentacles. It can also be about a new, again, yeah, kind of that new, bringing in the new, but also at the same time not wanting to kind of get rid of everything from the past. It's like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of energy. There's also a kind of sense of playfulness here as well. Of like playing with this energy. A feeling of kind of lightening up as well somehow, that the more we kind of get rid of the old dead wood, the lighter things will become for us. Instead of hanging on to old situations that kind of weigh us down. So things will become lighter, and the more we kind of let go of things, the more new energy will come in. The more opportunities we will have, the more potential for growth and change. So in the environment at this time, we have another pentacle. This one's the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is, for me, he is an energy of looking towards the future, planting the seeds now in order to be able to reap what we need later in the future. And it's kind of two go together in a way. In the sense of what am I getting here? Okay, so it's growth again. It's that growth energy. It's the, I mean, Pentacles is the physical realm. It's how we, you know, plant our seeds in order to grow new food, in order to sustain ourselves. And there's this overall energy, it feels like, of something new that is coming in. That we're going to have to I'm getting like, yeah, planting the seeds now for, in order for them to to manifest later down the line. It's kind of saying like things won't grow if we don't put our time and our energy and our effort into them. We have to actually make it happen. I mean, the pages are always young energy. They're an energy that needs to grow experience, or experience, they can only grow through experience. So they have to actually experience life. And I'm getting the kind of feeling of this being like going back to the garden, like going back to the earth. Like more and more people are going to have to return to doing this kind of like thing for themselves, planting their own seeds, becoming more independent on themselves, on ourselves in general, learning new skills. Because that's the only way that the page becomes a king, is by the experience that he goes through. So kind of saying that we're at that stage at this time of learning how to sustain ourselves. And we have in the collective headspace, if you like, two interesting cards. We've got the Judgment and we've got the Nine of Pentacles, and they are both in reverse. So Judgment is that situation of like literally like the last judgment. Basically, that's kind of what it means in the tarot deck. It means that it is the judgment, it's judgment day. It's like we have to answer to ourselves, really. We have to answer to the situations that we have manifested for ourselves, or the how can I put it? It's quite Saturn energy in the sense of actions cause consequences. Things that we've done in the past, at some point we have to reap what we sow as well. But there is another message with the Judgment card, which is also again about letting go of the old. If you see down here, there's all these people rising up. They are actually people rising up out of the earth, out of the ground. And they represent, like for me, they represent our ancestors. They represent past situations that we've been in. And it is about letting things go. It's about heeding that call of it's time. It's time. Things are changing. Things are moving. The earth herself is going through a whole different experience. We're going through that experience with her. We're reaching the end, the whole end of a kind of cycle period of time, of this long cycle of time. We're moving out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. And a lot of people are going to have a lot of ghosts, literally kind of ghosts that they've kind of buried and try to ignore. This kind of reminds me a bit of actually South Node energy at this time, because South Node is in Scorpio. And the South Node is what we need to let go of. And Scorpio is our deep emotions. I always think of Scorpio as the emotional graveyard. So this card kind of has that energy for me today, the kind of opening of the emotional graveyard, but it may not be so much what we're how can you put it, like expecting. It's not like we're actually doing it ourselves. It's like it's just happening. It's like we have no control over it. It's just going to happen for people. There's going to be like situations coming back into our lives, or memories coming up, and they're all needing to be dealt with, particularly collectively on a kind of psyche level. If you think of our history, there's a lot that we need to come to terms with, a lot we need to let go of. And I feel that that's what's going to be happening around this time, because we also have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse as well. So Pentacles, again, physical earth energy. The Nine of Pentacles often talks about our self-worth, about how we feel about ourselves. Do we feel we're good enough? Are we pretty enough? Are we this enough, that enough? So it's kind of, I kind of feel as though it's also coming through a sense of kind of mastering energy here as well, like mastering. Have we mastered ourselves enough is also what's coming through here. Because this can also be like the Judgment energy can be disruptive energy. It can be very, I'm getting kind of chaotic and like people don't want to look at themselves. People would rather look at others and judge other people rather than judge who they are and look at their own achievements, what they have and haven't achieved, and also what is success as well. What is achievement? What does it mean to each of us? Is it just based in the kind of physical, but the monetary realm as well? Because Pentacles does talk very much also, being a pentacle, it's about coin, it's about what we earn, it's about the energy that we put into something, our time. So there's also an element of that coming up here. I'm also getting this sense of mastery over ourselves, which again is quite Saturn energy, because Saturn is the teacher, the great teacher. He teaches us mastery. So we then have the Four of Wands in our hopes and our fears. Again, that's in reverse here. So we're dealing with a sense of lack of foundation is really what the Four of Wands is about. Again, I just want to say Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn energy has been very much about digging down into the foundations, the very fabric of our society, of our lives, of our authority figures, government, all of that kind of authority. Saturn is that authority. Capricorn, governance, top of the pyramid, that kind of energy. And so we may be feeling, as we go through this kind of upheaval that's coming, that we may be feeling that like, you know, lack of foundation, like we have nothing that is stable or solid for us to kind of hold on to, or to hold on to and grasp as a reality. Because the Four of Wands in reverse talks about lack of stability. And then our last card here is the Seven of Swords, which is interesting because this was the card on the bottom of the deck earlier when I actually cut the cards before I laid them down. And then this card came out again. So the Seven of Swords in reverse. It's a card of deceit, card of lies, card of self-sabotage, or sabotage in general, lies, deceit, corruption. Also an energy of not trusting, not to trust. It is a warning card. I always see the Seven of Swords as a warning card, not to trust something that is being, there's a deceptive energy about it. So whatever we're being told or led to believe is true. And if you look here as well, there's a swan and there's all these swords which are kind of surrounding it. So it's like it's trapped and it kind of feels like the truth. The swan represents the truth in a way. There's something kind of white, pure about swans. So it's kind of saying to me, like it's blocked. Like if you look there, it's literally like it's trying to escape, but there's something blocked here. So but the swords themselves represent the mind as well, so in many ways it's kind of, we do it to ourselves because it's self-sabotage, so we actually allow ourselves to be blocked. We allow ourselves to listen to the lies or buy into the lies. And the deceit and the corruption. So there's a warning here that there's going to be more. To be aware, to be awake, to be discerning with what you hear, because it may not be the full information, is what I'm getting. And then we have two cards. Oh, Seven of Swords again. And so that is like a real double message But interestingly, he's picked up all these swords. There's 2 over there, and he's looking back and he's thinking, oh, can I carry them as well? Can I get those swords? And as he's looking back, he's actually put his foot in this loop here, like this trap. So again, it goes back to this sense of self-sabotage or being tripped up because he's not looking where he's going, basically, and he's wanting more, and it's coming through like as disinformation. It's like wanting to kind of like, you know, he's got to carry all of these swords. Like the disinformation is what's coming through for me here with this, because it is lies and deceit. But when it's upright, it can also be about like holding things close to our own chest as well, like not revealing everything all at once. Because if we do, then things can work against us. If we give out too much information too soon, is also what I'm getting from this. And then we have the King of Wands, which he's kind of looking back at the King of Wands. And the King of Wands here, he's got this lizard in his hand. And he's like holding it out. And it's kind of coming through as like, how it's coming through is like it's there, it's right in front of you. The truth or the discernment, it's like it's up to you, it's right there. You can either stick with this kind of Seven of Swords, deception, corruption energy, or you can see it clearly, see it for what it actually is. King of Wands is very charismatic, he's very magnetic type of energy. People are drawn to this energy. And he's planted his staff in the ground here as well. And his staff is already kind of shooting out new life, new leaves, new growth. And it looks very solidly planted there as well, in the ground. It's like he's kind of saying, like this king kind of feels like this energy is kind of saying it's not going anywhere. It's going to just be there. It's going to stay there. And it feels like a light of truth. But it is up to us whether or not we want to see it. It's our decision. Is kind of how that's coming through. And that came through over the top of the King of Pentacles, the old energy, the energy that needs to die. Almost like this is kind of like, yeah, the old and the new coming in as the old dies and the old paradigm is let go of. This is the new that is replacing it. is how it's kind of coming through there, with this spiritual warrior energy kind of attached to it as well, kind of pushing that forwards. So let's see why the Queen of Pentacles is here. Queen of Pentacles has come out with the Empress. How nice. How very, 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 very beautiful. This is like new growth, new earth, new world, just abundance. This is very Uranus in Taurus in many ways. It's kind of saying that, you know, as all of this shifts and changes, and this is the outcome. The outcome is this Empress energy of abundance, and she has the Venus symbol on her shield as well. And the Venus symbol is the Taurian energy, which is also very much this Mother Earth energy that I was talking about earlier. This Queen of Pentacles energy, very much the kind of giver and the mothering energy, that energy that wants to give life, give growth. It's an energy of sustaining through nourishment, not just sustaining through physical, but also through caring and looking after and taking care of. It's that kind of energy. And with the Empress here as well, it's kind of really rooted in that. It's kind of really rooted in the earth energy, in the female energy, in the Venus energy of love and beauty. And we have the swan here as well, which is interesting. So it's almost like the swan escapes. And it's got its little babies there as well. So even the swan is multiplying and growing, and the truth is multiplying, the truth is growing, because that's what this card feels like here. It's like you cannot contain the truth. It will always escape somehow. And when it does, the result is something much more productive, is what I'm getting. Productive. I'm also getting kind of new ideas as well, new creative input coming in, things that have been held back, new visions. And our connection to the earth herself as well. Okay. So over the top of these 8 of Wands, we have the Justice card, but it is in reverse. And so this card I felt was messages, things that we had been picking up on in the ether. And in reverse, the Justice card is kind of saying to me that things have not been fair, things have not been balanced, things have been very much out of balance, very unfair. If you look there, there's a king and a pauper. kind of saying that things have been very much like, you know, that I would personally say the justice system, the two-tiered justice system that we all, on a physical, man-made level, have to deal with, which is very different to this one, which is also in a way justice, because it's kind of karmic justice, judgment. You can't escape the karmic judgment. This one you can manipulate and make it work for those who have the power to do so. And so it feels as though something, it's like people are awakening to this separation of justice or fairness or balance, or all those things that are represented by the Justice card, which is of course to do with being fair, making fair decisions, but not when it's in reverse. And I do believe that people are waking up to this. They are seeing the reality of the justice system that we live under. And that is very separate. Okay. So we've got two cards come out with this Knight of Cups, and they are both emotional cards. Both cups, both watery, both emotions, both psychic as well on some level. The water also represents psychic energy. But here we have the Ace of Cups, which I was talking about here. This Ace of Cups here, which is actually reversed here, but here it's being filled up. You can see it's overflowing. And usually with this card, the hand is holding the cup, but here you see it's literally got this big bright red heart. It's like this heart that she's holding here, or holding at her heart. It's like that same heart energy feeding. And of course the Venus card is also to do with, or Venus is to do with love as well. But it's now in the water itself. So it's like self-feeding, which was what I was saying about this card here earlier, about how this one feels as though it's kind of isolated. There's like an isolation in this card, yeah, with this cup. And also that it feels like it's like looking outside of ourselves to find that love, whereas this one, to me, is very much about the self. And this, I think, there's this King of Cups here as well. He also is related to this energy with this Knight of Cups. They're both in reverse. And this could have something to do with the masculine energy, because it's the Knight and the King that are both in reverse. And again, his cup is upside down. Literally, he's pouring that water out of his cup into the waters below. When it's in reverse, it kind of feels as though it's returning somehow. Okay, so what I'm getting is that it's like it's tried to be cut off, like separated. It's like outside forces, shall we say, have tried to separate us from possibly home, family, friends is what's coming through here. But it's like it's like they can't sever it completely, no matter how much they might try to do so and separate us and stop that connection. It's like that connection is always there. It's always there, and it's got stronger. If anything, it's got stronger. Is how it's coming through. It's grown because of the fact that they've tried to work it against us. It's actually got stronger by doing so. So this king is constantly connected to this energy, the water energy himself anyway. And he's like, because he's upside down, it's like the water's flowing backwards is what I'm getting. It's kind of flowing back into the cup. And filling up this cup here, which is now literally sitting in the water. The water of life, the water of love. And we're kind of awakening, it feels, to that connection, to that heart connection. There is that saying, of course, which is going into my head, like absence makes the heart grow fonder, which kind of talks about that, like, again, like I want to use the word adversity. It's like more adversity they have tried to use against us, the stronger we have come through it. So let's see why we have the Two of Pentacles coming into our future. Interesting. We have 2 sixes. One's up the right way and one's upside down. So we have the 6 of Swords. So I really shouldn't do that. I really shouldn't sit there and go interesting, because you don't have a clue what's going on. So I apologise for that. So we have the 6 of Swords, and in this deck they have reached the shore. They've reached the other side. And he's carrying 4 swords behind her. And 4 swords is a sense of, it can be healing, but it's also a sense of like non-action. But it also feels like, because it's over the top of this 2 of Pentacles, which is this energy of this old and new kind of mixed together. It's kind of reaching the shore, reaching the other side, if you like, of where we've been on this kind of turbulent, tumultuous journey. Like, you know, all this, the 6 of Swords is often shown with a boat carrying the passengers across the water, and the water's quite choppy, and it represents the emotions of the person as well, and says that, you know, this is what's taking this person away, and they're moving out of the choppy waters and into the more kind of serene waters. So they're moving out of difficult period of time, a difficult situation, into something that's much calmer, much smoother. And here in this deck of cards, they've actually reached the shore and they've got onto dry land. So there is also a safety element there as well. And of course, I mean, earth energy again, even though this is swords, but on some level it's also saying that we need to leave these behind. It's kind of how I'm feeling, like he's picking them up and he's carrying them with, like, onto dry land. So it's almost like taking the issues or the problems with us. And maybe there's still a lot more that we need to resolve. Again, there's these two swords sticking down, and they're there in this card again as well, which also adds up to 4. And he's also holding 4. No, he's not. He's holding 5. But he's holding 4 swords. So the 2 of swords represents a decision to be made on something. And that was kind of the energy that was coming through here, even though it wasn't a decision as such. And this isn't a decision as such either, because this feels more like mentally having to remove ourselves to start again, mentally having to remove ourselves out of our, I'm getting fixed mindset, because 4 is very fixed, it's very fixed energy. But it's also come out with this card here, which isn't a particularly good card, because it talks about victory not being recognized, something not being recognized. Six of Wands can also be a time, a period of time where we, with the Six of Wands, it can be a period of time where we celebrate too soon, is what I'm getting with it in reverse. Not to celebrate too soon, because there's still work to be done. There's still things that need to be changed. Work on ourselves again is what I'm getting. The Six of Wands can be a period of time where you have got to a certain part of your journey, your creative endeavour, shall we say, something that you've been working hard on to achieve, and you've put a lot of energy into it, a lot of creative thought, and it's kind of reached a point where you can see it coming together and you can relax about it a bit more and be a bit more upbeat about it, and kind of not quite as what's the word I'm looking for here? Not so stressed about it, or like you can give yourself a bit of a break. And in fact, it's a time to kind of give yourself a bit of a break, because that's when we allow something new to come in. It's like rather than kind of banging on in the same vein, shall we say, with the same thoughts and the same ideas. This is a time of rethinking things. Rather than charging into something using the same ideas, we need to give ourselves a break, is what I'm getting. And that's the energy that's coming in. Give ourselves a break. Also, yeah, it's a bit like climbing to the top of a mountain and then realizing that, you know, you've still got to get back down and you've still got to get back to where you've come from. So the top of the mountain is kind of that peak of the journey, but it's best to kind of have a rest before you try to descend again, because that's when you're going to be exhausted, and that's when things can go wrong. You can make very easy mistakes, is what I'm being given, like silly slip-ups. Possibly like him bringing these 4 swords is also a kind of energy that I'm getting, that the 4 swords, because we've also got the 4 wands here as well. You want to separate it like 4 and 2. You've got 4 wands here, which is also this energy here of that lack of foundation and instability. So let's see why the Page of Pentacles is here. Why is the Page of Pentacles here? Why is the Page of Pentacles here? Okay. Because of the Emperor. Page of Pentacles is here because of the Emperor. So we've got the Empress and the Emperor. And we've got the King and Queen of Pentacles as well. So the Emperor is always depicted, or often depicted, as an Aries energy, which is why the goat or the ram is at his feet and also on his throne. But personally, I don't ever see the Emperor as the Aries energy. I see it as the Leo energy. I see the, because this isn't so much Mars energy, I don't feel. The Mars energy to me is more the Chariot. I know people see these cards in different ways. So the Emperor energy is that masculine counterpart to the Empress energy here. And in the upright position, which he was, there is this sense of going from the Page energy to the Emperor energy. This kind of huge leap in growth and understanding. Mastery is what's also coming through for me here as well. Because the Emperor is the leader, he's the ultimate leader. It's an energy of empowerment, of standing in our power. So it's like going from being a page, of knowing very little, or in the process of growth and learning, to suddenly becoming an emperor. And I want to say it's like a quantum leap. Other words that are coming through here. It's like a quantum leap from this page energy into this very strong, dominant, resourceful, and wise as well, because the Emperor is, you see here, I mean, he's an old man, so he's also very wise. He's battle wise, strategic. And he also seems to be holding something in his hand there as well, which looks similar to a pentacle. I think it's like a globe or something, but it's almost similar energy to kind of this pentacle, which needs to be planted, as I was saying earlier, this kind of young seed that needs to be nurtured and looked after and taken care of in order for it to become this energy. So he's gone, it's like going beyond even the king energy. It's like going from this like page of pentacle, going beyond even this king energy of the page of pentacle. It's like he's gone up another level entirely. Or it's like we are shifting up another level entirely into our much more kind of, it feels like divine, masculine, feminine energies here. And you've got the Empress and the Emperor. And again, for me, it's the Leo energy. The Sun energy is the Emperor. Very fiery. Very self-assured. There's also a sense of tradition within that energy as well. Oh, that's interesting, because the card that comes out is the card I was just talking about, the Chariot card, which I see as the Aries energy. So I see this much more as the Aries energy, because it's about moving forward. It's about staying ahead of the game. In this card, it's over the top of the Judgment card and the Nine of Pentacles. So it's about that judgment, self-judgment, can't escape our karmic past, if you like, of future, present, all of that energy coming together, which is also this Justice energy here as well. So the Chariot is about moving forward, particularly when he's upright. It's about moving things forward. And we've got the two Sphinxes down there as well. One very black, one very white, one with the white and black and the other black and white. Which is again that kind of sense of duality, balance, harmony, the duality of life, that things have to be balanced in order for there to be harmony. Like with this Chariot, to be able to move forward. They both have to work together rather than distancing themselves, because if they distance themselves and if they decide to go off in different directions, then that Chariot is going nowhere. And he's also holding something in his hand as well. And the canopy is kind of covered in stars, and he's got all these symbols on his tunic. So it also talks of a sense of kind of wisdom, of knowing. He's got moons on his lapels there, which are the emotions. And a star is crowning his head. Again, that star of hope. So things are going to move forward. It's like there's judgment coming. There's kind of something that we need to deal with, if you like. Some lesser energy is what I'm kind of feeling here. Like lower level energy, lower vibrational energy that needs to be worked through in order for us to move past it, to move beyond it. But first of all, we have to work through this lower vibrational energy. Actions and consequences is also what I'm getting here. And also the thing that he's holding in his hand, it feels as though it's like there's a mission. It's like he's been given some information. He's like found something out, and now it's time for him to move forward. Like there's a journey that he needs to take. There's something that he needs to do, to get to, somewhere he needs to be, is also what's coming through. And again, because of the symbology on his tunic and things, it's almost, again, it's like a bigger story, like something beyond just our physical realm. Like the dictates of the stars or the planets is kind of what I'm getting. It's like divine timing. Divine timing, something in divine timing. That we need to deal with something in order to be able to move forward in divine timing. So as much as we want things to hurry up and shift and to get to where we want to be, there's also this kind of cause or need to calm down and let things happen, let things kind of unfold. Okay, so over the top of the Four of Wands we have the Seven of Cups. Which is quite interesting in this card because he is holding all those jewels in his hand, which obviously he's taken out of the cups there. And he's got that snake wrapped around his waist. So this is our hopes and our fears. I mean, in the centre there as well, that's interesting, because that looks like a spiritual, like that's filled with kind of something spiritual, unknown, the unknown. And instead of going for something like that, instead of going for the unknown, he's gone for what he believes is going to make him happy, which are all those shiny jewels. But the snake, of course, it's like he's still caught up in all of that. What's the word I'm looking for here? It's like he's caught up in all that. Can't think of the word. Deception. This deception here is kind of what he's caught up in. So he's still deceiving himself, or we are still deceiving ourselves. This is just a hope and a fear, though. And this is to do with instability, our foundations, things not being stable around us. Again, hopes and fears. Hopes that all this stability and things are going to become more, well, that they would have been worth all the upheaval. It will be worth all that trouble that we've been through. That more will come out of it. It's kind of the hope here. That more good will come out of it. But the Seven of Cups is also a card of confusion as well. And so it could be saying that as things do become like unstable and within our own instability, we reach for what we know best, which here is all these shiny gems, which is that kind of deception, deceiving ourselves, whereas this is kind of like something, it's unknown, but it's, for me, it's got a really strong spiritual basis to it, or look about it. What's hidden underneath that veil? It's the unknown, and we often turn away from the unknown and stick to what we know because it's so much safer. We feel more stable sticking to what we know rather than going for something unknown, mysterious, which could be a danger. But in fact, because he's also got this snake wrapped around him as well, the danger is actually already with him. He's chosen the danger. The danger is carrying on. So it feels like that's kind of, because it's a hope and a fear, it's not a manifested energy, but it is an energy that if we focus on our hopes and our fears, then they can become manifest around us. And we have the Three of Cups to end with, which kind of goes with this Seven of Swords energy of something. It feels like, again, that kind of celebrating something too soon. Not to celebrate something too soon. Because the Three of Cups is an energy of celebration. Of happiness. And so that is kind of, it comes through like the warning in a way of not to celebrate something too soon. It's deceptive, it's not real. There's still more to be found out because the truth here is still trapped. Even though it does. In this card it does escape. But in this card at this time, there is still an element of a warning. And again, it kind of feels like, you know, things are not necessarily as they appear. There's a warning here to possibly to not overindulge, because it can be a card of celebration and parties. It can also be a card of too many, like, interference in a way. Like, it can be seen as a card of, which also, this can also be a card of interference as well. So it's kind of coming through with similar, it's like interference in the sense of somebody else involved in a situation that isn't meant to be involved in a situation, or some kind of, just feels like some kind of deception about something that is supposed to be celebratory, but it isn't. I'm not sure, actually. I'm going to pull another one on that quite quickly because I'm not sure about that completely. So why the Three of Cups? Why the Three of Cups with the Seven of Swords? That's quite a few cards come out all together. So, okay, Three of Pentacles in reverse. Six of Pentacles in reverse, Eight of Swords up the right way, and the Nine of Cups in reverse. Yeah, again, it kind of feels like that celebratory, like three again, like too many, like there's too much of something in a way. I know it seems like three isn't too much, but it's like, you know, three's a crowd kind of energy is what's coming through. And with the Three of Pentacles as well, it talks about, usually when it's upright, it talks about working in a team. So this is kind of feels like things working against rather than with. And the Six of Pentacles in reverse as well. Six is often about compromise, but compromise doesn't necessarily always mean that it's the right thing. Sometimes we can compromise ourselves too much. We can over-compromise. and therefore lose ourselves. The Six of Coins can be, especially when it's in reverse, it can be like a people pleaser card, like wanting to keep the peace, wanting to compromise too much. And not necessarily getting the rewards for doing so, overdoing things. And then we have the Eight of Swords here as well. But in the Eight of Swords, she's still blindfolded, even though she's being rescued. Somebody else has come along to rescue her. Somebody has come along to cut her bonds, the ties that bind. But she doesn't know who this person is. She has no idea. She's completely in the dark. And again, with the Nine of Cups in reverse as well, the Nine is about wish fulfillment and things like celebratory things. Usually when it's up that way, it's like getting what it is that we want. But it just feels like something isn't what it appears, isn't something to be celebrating. Something is going to work against us if we let it. So I've also pulled a Keepers of Light card as well, and we got Mercury, which is open communication. So let's see what Mercury has to say. It says, get a weight off your chest, speak up with love and be heard, which is also this energy down here as well. Speak up with love and be heard. Okay, so Mercury is the Roman god of messages and communication. In Greek mythology, sorry about that, in Greek mythology he is known as Hermes. He is often depicted with wings on his feet, representing the capacity to be swift and carrying a caduceus, the same healing wand that Archangel Raphael is known to carry. As well as overseeing communication, he oversees the planet Mercury. So Raphael, the Archangel Raphael, is the healing angel. So as well as overseeing communication, he oversees the planet Mercury. When this goes retrograde, which means it appears to go backwards when seen from the Earth, communication can be delayed or difficult. We can call on Mercury for help with... Oh, that's really interesting, because Mercury on the 16th of July is just about to cazimi over the heart of the sun. Oh, that's really interesting. In Cancer, which is that watery energy, King of Cups type of energy. So Mercury is going to disappear basically for the next 2 weeks. He's going to be in the heart of the sun, offline, being reborn. He's about to go through a rebirth, and he'll come out the other side as a completely new and different Mercury, which is going to affect our ways of thinking and communicating. It's something that I talk about in my astrology reading for anybody who's interested in finding out more. But he is going to be, at the time he goes through this, trining Neptune and sextile Uranus. So, and there's other energies at play as well, and the North Node as well. So pretty big energies to be connected to at a time when you're going to go across the heart of the sun, because that kind of sets off the energy for what's coming, for what's to come. So very interesting that we should get this card at this time. So we can call on Mercury for help with loving, honest and open conversations, divination and any form of expressive art such as writing, poetry and journalism. He can also help us heal miscommunications that have caused distress. So there it is. And he's also doing this in Cancer as well, so it's saying, so that is the kind of watery energy. And lastly, I have a Inner Vision card, which is also very apt. I pulled this earlier because I wanted to find the page, because last time I pulled one of these, it took ages for me to actually find it, and I felt really bad and a bit stupid sitting here trying to find it, try and kind of keep communication going. And so this card is called the Fairy Ring, and it's really, I read a little bit about it and it is very apt for this time. So this card has a dual meaning. A huge solar orb looms in the background. In the foreground there is much going on. The main focal point of this card resides in the three small dancing figures which can be seen a quarter of the way up the mountain and to the right. So they're just there, those little figures dancing there. The sun in this card represents all things creative, all things to do with life, growth, evolution, expansion, and also death. A very loose and sketchy Saturnian ring encircles the sun, which I thought was really interesting because this is a Saturn full moon energy that we're dealing with. The encircling represents restriction, enclosure and binding. So here we have expansion and also restriction. A wedding ring can bring expansion into a new way of life and also restriction or binding in the way you now have to share with the new partner, which is interesting because that's also something that I was just talking about as well. Her bonds have been cut. So interesting. Okay, so there is a second meaning to the card. A city lies precariously on one of the solar prominences. Here we have the implications of enjoying each moment as it arises, for you never know what the next moment will bring. Oh yeah, there it is, that big city there. That's like a tongue. A lifetime of a mayfly lasts only a day, and our lifetime is not even a flicker in the lifetime of a sun. Live each moment as if it is your last. These fairies are shown in the lower right-hand side of the card, dancing in a circle. In a sense, the circle around the fairies is a relative replica of the ring around the sun. The fairies, like the solar orb, represent creativity, evolution and inspiration. These fairies also represent the three states of time encircled, past, present and future, which I was also talking about with the sense of the Judgment card and the Justice card. Not unlike the three norns, the three fates, the three phases of the moon. These are also the three: hope, chastity and can't think of what the other one is. I know there's three of them and I can't think who the other one is. Hope, chastity and can't think. Brain's gone dead. Let's go back to this card. So the three fates, three phases of the moon. Time does not exist in reality, only in the events of memory, past experience, present and imagination, future. Sorry about that glare, put it down a bit. At the end of the day, nothing really matters, for everything is as it should be, complete in entirety. And then she goes on to talk about somebody called Trinley, who I do actually know, so that's all a bit weird, but it says at the end, yeah, complete in its entirety. Trinley and I once sat atop a hill watching the sunset, both being Aquarians with Gemini rising. We shared many bizarre moments. Indeed. As the sun was setting, he said, and crawling on the planet's face, some insects called the human race lost in time and space. He then pondered for a while, and then, after a little reflection, carried on. Our solar orb emits iridescent light in all directions. We only get an eyeful. I would often comment on the profundity of his statements, only to have a reply, "Don't you know my back is silvered?" I will have to ask about that because I have no idea what that means. I don't know if anybody else does. If anybody understands what that comment means, please leave it in the comments below, because I would like to have more insight into that as well myself. So, whoops. That is the reading for today, for this Capricorn full moon. Hope that it has been of some help. I hope that you found something of some interest in it. If you have, please could you thumbs it up for me, give it a like, because the more people that like my videos, the more attention it will get. The channel itself, I believe, or the platform for the channel, I believe, is actually stopping people from being able to find my channel, because if you put it in on a search, you won't actually have it come up. So there does seem to be something going on there. So please do like, share, and also subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you who have subscribed to my channel recently. I really do appreciate it. And I really love having you here with me to experience my journey on this channel as well, with its growth, and also for the messages that I'm putting out there, which are not necessarily your run-of-the-mill type of messages. So thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you all again next time. In the meantime, enjoy this Capricorn full moon, and please take really good care of yourselves and others.